Real quickly before we begin, I want to thank this video's sponsor, CarMarshal.com. CarMarshal.com can save you lots of money on buying used or new vehicles, cars, trucks, school buses. If you want to save money, I'll have a link in the description down below. I know I'm going to...
Back, Twiggs County parents lost custody of their son, and they're now facing possible jail time because they gave him marijuana. But they say they did it to protect him.
Zach Merchant sat down with the parents who say they were doing what any parent would do in their situation.
They showed up at my house demanding that I quit abusing my son. I wasn't abusing my son, I was taking care of my son.
Last month, the Georgia Division of Family and Children's Services took custody of Susanna and Matthew Brill's son after Twiggs County deputies arrested them for giving him marijuana to smoke. It's a charge they don't deny.
We openly admitted to them in front of Twiggs County Sheriff's deputies.
Their son, who we're not identifying because he is a minor and because of the sensitive nature of this case, was taken from the Brills. And according to a Twiggs County Sheriff's Office report, they're now charged with reckless conduct. But they say they're not bad parents. They were doing what they had to stop their son's frequent seizures.
Every day.
7 days a week.
7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
The Brills say the seizures affect even everyday tasks like waking their son up for school.
You know, the whole side of his face.
Trying several prescription drugs and even cannabis oil with no results, they turned to marijuana.
I smoke it first. I know where it comes from. I know my people. Made sure the bag was good. Packed the bowl in my bowl, which I ain't been anywhere else. And I set it on the table and told him that it was his decision. I didn't tell him he had to or not.
The Brills say their son began smoking several times a day, and when he did, it kicked off a 71-day stretch without a single seizure. And even though they're facing potential jail time, the parents say they'd do it again to protect their child.
Nothing else was working.
In Twiggs County, Zach Merchant, 13 WMAZ News.
The Brills say they want their son back, but a document from Twiggs County Juvenile Court argues it is unsafe for him to live there.
So far, the Brills are still separated from their son.
Parents jailed, 15-year-old kidnapped by government, for using cannabis to stop his seizures. I'm willing to face the jail time or the consequences for it if it will help my son, said a mother who was arrested for letting her son use cannabis to treat his seizures. By J. Sermopoulos, June 2, 2018. Macon, Georgia, a teenager who suffers from seizures was forcibly separated from his parents and put into state custody, while his parents were jailed and charged with reckless conduct after they provided their son with marijuana to control his seizure disorder. Matthew and Susanna Brill say they let their 15-year-old son, David, smoke cannabis in a desperate attempt to control his severe epileptic seizures. The couple told the New York Times that their son was having numerous seizures a day and that the pharmaceutical drugs he was prescribed to control his epilepsy failed to work. Although Georgia ostensibly recognizes cannabis as a treatment for epilepsy by allowing certified patients to possess up to 20 fluid ounces of low THC oil, generally recognized cannabidiol oil commonly referred to as CBD, the reality is that there is no way to legally obtain or produce CBD oil without being in violation of Georgia law. Despite having no legal access to cannabis, more than 3,500 people are registered with the state as medical marijuana patients. Even with the ramifications with the law, I don't care, said Mr. Brill, David's stepfather. For 71 days he was able to ride a bike, go play, lift weights. We were able to achieve that with David medicated not from Big Pharma, but David medicated with marijuana. A report by the New York Times noted. The pharmaceuticals weren't working. The 15-year-old boy was having several seizures per day, and his parents were concerned his life was in danger. So Susanna and Matthew Brill, of Macon, GA, decided in February to let their son try smoking marijuana and his seizures stopped for 71 days, they say. The Brills' decision led to the boy, David, being taken away from his parents, who face possible fines and jail time after being charged with reckless conduct for giving him the drug. David has now been in a group home for 30 days, and his seizures have returned. He is separated from the service dog that sniffed out his seizures, and he is able to communicate with his parents only during short visitations and phone calls. Despite their son being taken from them, the couple maintains that they made the correct medical decision for David. Ms. Brill told The Times that the authorities want to argue the legality of marijuana instead of taking care of the kid. The parents say they informed their son's doctors about using cannabis to treat his seizures without objection, but that his therapist reported the medical marijuana use to authorities. The call resulted in a visit by the Twiggs County Sheriff's deputies on April 19, who demanded that David stop taking the medicine that had stopped his seizures. We complied, and within 14 hours of complying, we were rushing our son to the hospital. It was one of the most horrific seizures I've ever seen, Susanna Brill told The Times. Reason magazine reported that his parents are fighting to get him back, a process they say may take as long as a year. They are trying to raise money to cover their legal expenses on GoFundMe, where they are more than halfway toward their goal of $30,000. Despite the state of Georgia clearly recognizing the potential medical utility of cannabis, and the FDA moving towards approving cannabidiol as a treatment for epilepsy, the state asserts the parents endangered David's bodily safety by consciously disregarding a substantial and unjustifiable risk, constituting a gross deviation from the standard of care which a reasonable person would exercise. Twiggs County Sheriff Darren Mitchum held a press conference on Thursday to address the growing controversy surrounding the situation. "Whatever the law is, it's my job to enforce it," Mitchum said. "The fact is that, as of today, marijuana is not legal in the state of Georgia to possess or smoke or use for recreational use. And that's it. There's been a lot of people around the country that apparently has a view on this case," the sheriff added while noting his office had been overwhelmed by calls from across the country. Mitchum played a 30-second voice message from an out-of-state man who told the sheriff, "I'd love to see you, expletives, try to take away my kid from me if I'm giving him the only medicine that works. You piece of expletives." In an attempt to mitigate the growing controversy, the sheriff went on to state that he could have pressed felony cruelty to children charges against the parents, but said, "That's not what we're doing. We're trying to, on one hand, understand their position if what they're saying is true, while at the very least still doing our job like we're supposed to do, not turning our head," Mitchum said, adding somebody's got to stand up for the child's welfare. While some studies have shown neurocognitive and behavioral effects of marijuana use in pediatric patients, including its effects on psychological dysfunction, a motivational syndrome, and carcinogenic risk, high-quality clinical trials are currently underway at Children's Hospital Colorado, with the approval with the state of Colorado and the federal government, related to marijuana use in the treatment and management of a variety of pediatric conditions, including epilepsy, neuro-oncology conditions, inflammatory bowel disease, as well as the impact of marijuana usage by pregnant mothers on their children. According to the Mitchum, Susanna Brill told a deputy, "I'm willing to face the jail time or the consequences for it if it will help my son." Although in violation of the law, this mother clearly had the best interest of her child in mind, thus any criminal charges by the state seem manifestly unjust. Please share this story to help raise awareness about the ongoing persecution of this family.
Hey Charlotte County, this is Charlotte County COPWATCH, and I just wanted you to know that I am using this stuff under fair use. And also remember to like and subscribe this channel. Also too, keep in mind I do not make any money on YouTube. This is 5 hours work a day, you know, fighting for freedom. And you can donate with PayPal and Patreon. I just want you to think about this. If everybody gives to PayPal and Patreon, Patreon is every month. Actually, PayPal you can do every month. I have 12,000 subscribers. If everybody gives, I can quit my regular job and go full-time investigations on Charlotte County and possibly even more and beyond. So just keep that in mind. If everybody helps out, I can go full-time doing this. Thanks.